Hello everyone, my name is Sabrina Melodieuse. Welcome to my channel. In today's video, we are going to learn how to make this beautiful Amity blanket. So I hope you will join me and enjoy. So right now, I'm going to do my very best to show you the two different blankets. I suspect I will not be able to show them to you very well. So I'll show them now, but if it's not good enough, after that I will post a couple of pictures so you can see the full effect. So the first blanket I made was made with Aran yarn, which in the US is like a worsted number 4 weight. So here it is, and I did use different colors as well. I will stand up and I will show you. So let's remind ourselves that this is a mosaic tiles style. It is very fun and very effective, very visual. And so let's show you. So this is the first blanket that I made with worsted weight yarn, number 4. There we are. It is truly amazing. There we are. I think I did my very best here to show you, but it is not good enough, I think. And the other one was made with a DK. So with DK, I used a smaller hook, and so I did a lot more squares. And I think you will find that the visuality is a lot more effective. There we are. And they are both the same size, but they have a lot, depending which yarn you're using, you might need to do a lot more squares or not. So let's discuss this pattern a little bit more in depth before we get to the tutorial. I forgot, but first let's add a couple of pictures so you can see both of the blankets in their entirety. So now just a very few notes to discuss before we get to the actual pattern. So first I would like to mention the sizes of these blankets. Whether you're going to make a blanket using a number 4 weight yarn or DK, they will both end up the same size. It just means that you will do more squares with DK. So both blankets will measure, I have the notes, 49 inches, or that's 125 centimeters, that's in its length. And in its width, it measures roughly 38 to 39 inches, or 97 to 99 centimeters in its width. So I think it's a pretty nice size, 38 by 49 inches, or 97 about to 125 centimeters. So now let's discuss the squares. If you are going to do the blanket using number 4 weight yarn, you will do a total number of 221 squares. If you're doing your blanket with a DK, you will be making, a total of 357 squares. This is really a visual blanket, so the more little squares you're going to do, the more visually effective it will be. So even with a number 4 weight, it is very nice, it's very pleasing to the eye. So the choice is yours. Now we're going to discuss how you're going to work this. So of course here is the tutorial coming up, but to support this tutorial I will also be doing a PDF file with 2 different graphs. The first graph will demonstrate how to make the blanket with a number 4 weight yarn, and the second graph will demonstrate how to do the blanket with DK yarn. So you just do however you want it to be, the blanket, so long as you're sewing the squares in the order that is in the graph. You can use absolutely any weight yarn you want. I have suggested number 4 weight and DK, but you can use any weight yarn you want with the appropriate crochet hook size. What else was I going to mention besides that? Yes, graphs, squares. I think that's it really. I still have to buy myself a scanner because mine is broke. But as soon as the PDF files will be available, I will be posting the link in the description box below, or email me and I will be very happy to send you the file. So now let's discuss the materials, and I will take you to the table to show you what you will need.
So to achieve this beautiful blanket, either you're going to use number 4 weight yarn or DK. So I will show you both options. So these are my color combinations for number 4 weight yarn. I am using Stylecraft Special Aran. It is Aran, which is a number 4 weight yarn in the USA. And with that, you're going to be using a 5.5 millimeter hook. There we are, 5.5 millimeter hook. So the colors that I have chosen are those. But obviously you can choose any color that you want. In the graphs I will be demonstrating the yarns I have used for DK. So I will show those to you in a moment. But you can choose any color that you want. Just substitute those and follow the graph. So I have chosen this one is Pale Rose. Pale Rose, and this one is Silver. I don't know if this is good enough. Let's see. Silver. I think it did focus there for a moment. Okay, and the next one is Plum. There we are. And this one is Emperor. Come on. Very, very annoying, isn't it? It's Emperor. And this one is Raspberry. There we are. So those are the yarns that I have used, and those are number 4 weight with a 5.5 millimeter hook. Next up, I have used a 4 millimeter crochet hook, and I have used some DK, and the colors that I have chosen are this one, so it's Special Stylecraft Double Knit, which is DK, and the first color is Royal. There we are. Next color is bright green. It doesn't look as bright as I would like it to be, but it is very bright. It's like a neon green, if you like. So I don't understand why it's so light on here. Like a pale green. But it's really not. There we are. Bright green. Next color I have chosen is citron. Come on, citron, which really it means lemon. So as you can see, oh, very annoying. Come on. Okay, I think we'll have to try and do something with that. Let's get off that autofocus. Citron. No, it's not working. I am so sorry, everyone. This is so darn annoying. Okay, so citron, which is lemon. Next color is this one, which is Jaffa. And I think it is completely appropriate, the name, because it looks just like it. Jaffa orange. Yes, it really is very nice. And the last color I have chosen is this one, which is Matador. Yes, it is a nice bright red. Oh, come on, camera. Yeah. Not doing me any favors lately, is it? So those are the materials that I have used for both blankets. And oh, I have forgotten to mention that in Aran, which is number 4 weight yarn, or whether it's DK, you're going to need 2 skeins, which those are 100 grams each. You will need 2 skeins of each color. So you will need 10 skeins in total for both blankets. I hope that you will have all your materials gathered and then you will be ready to begin. Okay, so to start our granny squares, before we do, actually, I want to show you something. So I was playing around with doing granny squares and I realized that there is one method in particular which I prefer, and I will show you why. So this is the one I started with. You might not see much difference, but to me it makes a whole world of difference. Okay, so I think this is as close as I can get. So this is one method I have used, and I started with that stitch. So that is basically a chain 3 plus a chain 2. So I did chain 5, then I did 3 double crochet here, and I carried on around the square to do, you know, this granny square. And then when I came back around to do the final corner, I did 2 double crochet and I joined to the top of the chain 3. Okay, so it looks okay, but to me this is a problem, because I want you to, if you're going to make the granny squares, you need to be in a corner when you fasten off your yarn. And I will explain that in a little bit, not just yet. When we're about to join the squares, it will make complete sense. So when you look at this a bit closely, let's see if we can go closer. I am not that happy with it because, as you can see here, this chain, it looks like it's completely bunched up right behind these 2 stitches, and then there's like a huge gap here between the chain and this double crochet, and I am not a fan of that. I like all my corners to be the same, nice and uniform. You see, those 3 corners are perfect, and all of a sudden you get this giant mess. Okay, so the next square that I did is this square that I have used in the rest of the blanket. Do you see, all of a sudden this looks much better. This is there, this is that corner there, but with that option. So when I did that corner in particular, I started off with a chain 3. This is the chain 3, and then I did 2 double crochet, chain 2, and then my 3 double crochet, and then carry on. And then I joined to the top of the chain 3 to close the round, and I slip stitch into the 2 stitches and into the chain space, and I'm in my corner. And I must admit that this is looking much better than this one. Is this a case of OCD? I don't know. But honestly, this I can't be doing with that with the whole blanket. I'd rather have this, and it's nicely closed, just like all the corners, and no gigantic, stupid, messy hole. Okay? So what I'm going to do now is pause, and then we can start on our granny square. Okay, so I am ready with my 5.5mm hook. I'm sorry, my camera just does not want to focus on this. But I am now ready. I've got my hook and I've got my yarn. So let's start on this beautiful square. So for this particular square, I am just using my number 4 weight yarn, color raspberry. Okay, that's focusing a little bit better, but I'm going to zoom out. There we are, because I don't want to be too close to the camera for the square. Okay, so we are going to start with a chain 4, and it's only a 2 round square, so it shouldn't take too long to make each square. So to do the 4 chains, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and we're going to join to form a ring, just like so. Okay, I'm going to work over my tail because I want to try and minimize the amount of sewing since we are going to have a lot of sewing. Okay, so I'm going to start with a chain 3, 2, 3, and this is where we start our granny square. So we are going to do 2 double crochet into the ring, 1 and 2. The chain 3 counts as a stitch, so we have 3 double crochet, and we're going to chain 2. And now we are going to do that another 3 times. So we're going to do 3 double crochet into the ring, 1, 2, and 3, and a chain 2. This is how it looks. And most people know exactly how to do granny squares, but not everyone does, right? So 3 and chain 2, and we're going to do that one more time. 1, 2, and 3, and a chain 2. When you've done that, we are going to join to the top of the chain 3, right here. Okay, now that we've done that, just like I explained before with the other squares, we are going to slip stitch into the next 2 stitches right here, this one and this one, and then into the chain 2 space, so that we are nicely into the corner. So let's slip stitch our way to the corner. There we are, and we are now ready to start on the second round. So you are going to chain 3, and that will count as a stitch, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to do 2 double crochet into that chain 2 space, 1 and 2. Gonna chain 2, and into the same space you're going to do 3 double crochet, and when you've done that you will have formed a nice corner. like so. This is a corner. So you've done your 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet, because that chain 3 counts as a stitch. When you've done that, in between each corner, because in each corner you're going to do corners, so you should have 4 corners in total. And in between corners, we are going to do a chain 1. So let's chain 1, and let's do another corner into that chain 2 space. So 3 double crochet, get some more yarn, 1, 2, 3, chain 2, and another 3 double crochet into that same space. 1, 2, and 3. Now we have our 2 corners, so we are going to chain 1 just like we did here. There we go, chain 1. And let's do another corner into that chain 2 space. 1, 2, and 3. Chain 2, and another 3 double crochet into that same space. 1, 2, and 3. So now we have 3 corners. So we need to do one more chain and work our final corner into this chain 2 space. So 3 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, chain 2, and 3 double crochet into the same space. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, now we are going to do a final chain 1, and we're going to join to the top of the chain 3 right here. And I do like to catch both of the strands, 1 and right there. It looks just a little bit neater. Okay. And now we're going to slip stitch into the next 2 stitches and into the chain 2 space. Just like so, so that when you're ready to sew all your squares together, you can start from the corner to the corner, and I will explain that when I will do the sewing bit. Okay, now you are ready to cut your yarn, but don't cut it just yet. No, you want to ensure that you're going to keep quite a nice length so that you can sew 2 sides. And I usually have 21, my average size of string that I leave is 21 to 22 inches long, so that it is really long enough to sew 2 sides, and then when you finish sewing you want to get rid of the tail, so you want to weave it in and not just cut it. So you want to leave yourself a nice length. So I will cut my yarn now, and it's usually between 21 to 22 inches, and this is more than enough, and I'd rather leave more tail than needed than not enough, you know, because I will definitely explain why that is when I do the sewing bit. So I will pause. Oh, before I do, I want to show you another thing. Before I cut this yarn here, I do tighten the hole a little bit, not too much, but just a bit, just like that, so that it looks a little bit better on the other side. Okay, and now I am ready to cut this yarn off. And there's no sewing involved for all the centers, which is great because we want to minimize all the sewing that we can, since we have quite a lot to do. But it will be very, very effective and hopefully really a stunning blanket at the end of all this hard work. Okay, so I've done my square. I will pause and I will tell you exactly how many squares and what colors that you will need. Okay, now we are ready to start sewing all our pieces together. So, sometimes you will have just the one side to sew, but mostly you will have just two sides. You will only ever have two sides at the very most to sew, and I will show you how I am doing that. And the reason why I asked you for this very long tail is because some people like to sew the whole blanket with just one solid color. However, for this particular blanket, you will definitely need to keep one long length of each color. First of all, because it will minimize the amount of tails to get rid of, because if you're going to cut this now, you will need to get rid of this tail. So, this is a win-win situation. This will be used to sew, and you'll be able to get rid of that tail at the same time. And working with mosaic, you want to try and minimize the amount of colors mixed, because you want the seams to be more or less invisible, just like here. And how is this achieved? This is achieved by using at least just the one color involved between the two colors, just like here. So when I sewed this square together, I used that color to sew here. And it is completely invisible, and even to the other side, as you can see. So the way I do it is, first of all, get your needle. You can't sew without a needle, right? So get your needle. And in this particular instant, I have two sides, which is perfect because I want to show you that more than just the one side, because we all know what to do. It's just sewing, right? Okay, so you will align this square. This is the right side facing you. Let's see if we can zoom in a bit, or a lot. Okay, with the right side facing you, you will put your square right here where it's intended to be. Oh, and by the way, when you will sew your square, you will have to refer to a graph that I will make. I will draw it. I will have a piece of paper, some coloring pens, and I will tell you exactly where to put all the squares. So just look at the graph or diagram, whatever you want to call it, and then you'll know exactly where the squares are going. So in this particular instant, I am going to put this square right here. So with the right side facing, put it there. And then you're going to put this square so that the wrong side is now facing you. Just like so. And we are ready to sew. So 1 second. To start this one, we're going to go right into the corner. So do you see why this is important that you end your squares into the corner? Because we're starting with the corner. So we are just going to sew all the stitches together. So into the corner of this square and into the corner of the next square, you're going to join. And I like to do like a little knot. Put your yarn over here. And this is just to secure it nicely. Like that. Okay, now we have 3 stitches to sew together. So we're going to do that. First stitch here and first stitch into the next square. And then we're going to come back the other way. So the next stitch, like so, and next stitch here. And then one more stitch. So right here and then into the next square. And now we are at the chain 1. So you do need to go through the chain 1 as well. Do not miss that. So there we are, into the actual chain, not the hole, into the chain of both squares, like so. And now you're going to go into the next 3 stitches as one of both squares. and then the next two stitches here, and once again, and now we are at the corner. So when you are at the corner, don't ignore it. You want to try and close that, you see, just like here. So I'm going to do 2 stitches into that corner. So the first time is just to come back onto this side, and then I'm going to go back again right here, and I'm going to do a knot just to secure it nicely. There. So now this side is done, as you can see, and so now we need to do this side. So you're going to flip this just like so and start over again until you get to that corner. So let's do that one more time, but I'm not going to be talking as much. So you're going to the corner right here. Don't forget to ever, not forget to do the corner. I can't talk no more. Don't ever forget to stitch the corners, okay? There and there. Otherwise it will leave gigantic holes and it won't look as nice. So now you've got your stitches aligned and you can start to do the sewing again. So all the stitches together, just like so, because you want to make sure that you're catching all the stitches. And there. And honestly, does not take long at all. We are now at the chain 1, so do not forget to catch the chains. So here's 1 and 2. And then to the next 3 stitches. So 1, 2, and 3. And now we are at the corner once again. So we're going to do 2 stitches basically here. I think it is core stitches. 1 in each chain. This one and this one. So through both again. There we are. And our final one, we will do the stitch with a knot. So you're going to cross your yarn over here and hold it so that it will stay here and it will form a knot. There's 1, and I like to do 2 just to secure it nicely. There we are. And now I'm going to show you how I weave in my ends so it's nice and invisible to the eye on this side. So you flip your blanket to the wrong side and you go right into this ridge here and to the same color that you've used, okay? So that it is completely invisible. So you will put your needle through all these little things. I don't know if you can see that, so let's zoom in. Okay, see these stitches here that you see? You will put your needle through there. So let's do that. And I like to do that almost all the way. Not completely, it's not necessary, but I think it is nice, right? I will stop here. See, it is almost all the way. Pull your yarn through, like so, and then you're going to do it the other way, not through here, because otherwise you will unravel all your work. You're going to go right on top of that one, miss that one, and you're going to go back into those, just like so. And pull your yarn so that it's nice and tight, but not too tight. So just play around with it. And here we are. This is done. We are ready to cut our yarn. And as you can see, this is an invisible seam. This is the wrong side. And when you flip it to the other side, it is invisible. You see? And this technique is extremely important when you work with mosaic tiles, because you do not want anything to show. You see? You don't want anything to show up. So I will see if I can zoom out a little bit and show you this blanket. Well, this is not much, but I will definitely be putting pictures and things, and I will definitely show you how it looks in the end, of course. But no doubt you will have seen the blanket right at the beginning of this tutorial anyway. So I will let you go ahead and sew in all your squares, and when you've done that, we'll be back to start on the border. It is now time to do the border, and the border will look like this. It is basically just a continuation of the granny square, as you can see. It is worked into 4 rounds. So this is the first round, second, third, and the fourth. The first round will be a little bit different than round 2 and 3. As you can see here, when we are uniting these 2 squares, we are going to do something a little bit different. So I will explain that in a little short moment. Otherwise, round 2 and 3 are regular, just, granny squares, as you can see. And round 4, I will explain what to do. So let's, without further ado, begin with round 1, which will be this one. And this is not the actual color that it should show. This is really a very vivid green, almost like a neon green. Only the camera is deciding to show that like a pale green, which is really not the true color of it at all. But oh well. I will try and take pictures later to show you of the actual blanket as well, because it is amazing. Okay, so let's focus on the border now, and with our number 4 weight yarn, or whichever yarn you're using and whichever crochet hook you're using, we are going to start on round 1, and I will be using my 5.5 millimeter hook. Okay, so I'll pause and let's get started. A little extra note that this is how we're going to work the border. Border, first round will be green. If you're following, the colors that we've decided, of course, then the first round will be green. Round 2 will be yellow. Let's see if I can zoom in. There we are, that's better. Okay, so round 1, green, round 2, yellow, round 3, orange, and round 4, red. However, for this tutorial, I'm going to use different yarns, because I'm using a different weight yarn. I've used those colors for the DK blanket, which is here. There we are. So you see, the first one is green, then yellow, then orange, then red. But this is using regular DK and a 4 millimeter crochet hook. And with my blanket now that I'm using for this tutorial, I am using a number 4 weight yarn and a 5.5 millimeter hook. So for the first round, I will be using gray, and the colorway is silver. So I'll get the yarn ready and let's get started. We are now ready to start on our border. First round I am working with gray. Okay, so now we are going to work just like a granny square, but round 1 will be different than round 2 and 3. And how so? Is because we are going to connect these 2 squares together. So to do that, we need to make something different. So let's begin. Put a slip knot on my crochet hook, and we are going to join the yarn in the corner of your blanket, and you can join into any corner that you wish. So you're going to join with a slip stitch, and then you're going to do a regular corner for like a granny square. So you're going to chain 3, and that counts as a stitch. That counts as a double crochet. You're going to do another 2 double crochet into that space. Chain 2, and into that same space you're going to do 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3, and then chain 1. Always chain 1 between clusters, always, except when you do a corner. A corner will always have a chain 2. So into that next space you're going to do 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. Chain 1, and now we are at the connecting point when we are connecting 2 squares together. So here's what we are going to do. We're going to do a double crochet into that first space. See, we've got 2 spaces here, and we need to make these 2 spaces into 1. So we're going to do 1 double crochet into this space. And now to unite these 2 squares, we're going to do a 2 double crochet together. Yes, it is essentially a decrease. And how we're going to do this is you're going to yarn over and put your hook into that space, yarn over the hook and pull through, and yarn over the hook and pull through too. Oops, sorry. There we are. I'll do that again, in fact. Yarn over the hook and put your hook through this space, yarn over the hook and pull through, and yarn over the hook and pull through too. Now we have 2 loops on the hook, and we need to do that same thing into the next space right here. And now we have 3 loops on the hook. So you're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. So now we have our 2 double crochet together. And now into that same space we're going to do another double crochet. So in effect we've got 3 double crochet, but one of them is between them 2. It's to unite these 2. 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet together, which becomes just a 1 stitch, and 1 double crochet. And we have this, just like so. So I'm going to do that one more time. And of course, chain 1 into this next space right here, which is the middle of the granny square. We're going to do 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. And here we're going to unite these 2 squares together. So in this first space we're going to do 1 double crochet. Oh, I am sorry, I forgot to chain 1. So we're going to do 1 double crochet into this space. And now once again we're going to unite these 2 squares together. So we're going to do 2 double crochet together. So just like so, partial double crochet, and we're going to do that in the next space again. There we are. We now have 3 loops on the hook. We're going to yarn over and pull through all 3, and this is a double crochet 2 together. And into that same space we're going to do another double crochet and chain 1. I'm going to stop there because basically you're going to do that until you get to the next corner of the blanket, which will be right here. When you get to the corner, you're going to do 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet into that same space. Then you're going to turn around and do your chain 1, 3 double crochet in that space, and then chain 1, and here you're going to unite these two. You're going to do a double crochet in that space, and then immediately you're going to do your 2 double crochet together over these 2 spaces, and then 1 more double crochet into that space and chain 1, and carry on all the way around. When you have completed round 1, I will rejoin you and tell you what to do next. Okay, so I have gone all around and I've got 1 more cluster to do in order to complete the first round of the border. There we are, and chain 1, and when you have finished your round, all you have to do is slip stitch on top of the chain 3, just like so. And as previously done with the squares, I'm going to go and slip stitch into the next 2 stitches and into the chain space right here, just like so. And you are now ready to cut your yarn. And weave in your end, and then you can start on round 2. So I will get the yarn. So round 1 was done with green, or whichever color you're using. Round 2 will be yellow. So I will get this and I'll be right back. So for this blanket here, the first round of the border was done with green. The next round will be yellow. But I'm doing a different blanket, which is right here. So I'll be using a different color, which will be this one. But if you're working with the colors that we have chosen, please grab your yellow or whichever color you are choosing, and let's work on round 2. Round 2 is very, very easy, and actually round 2 and round 3 will be exactly the same. Okay, so we will start by joining the yarn with a slip knot in the middle of our corner right here. So we're going to put that there and do a slip knot to join a yarn. So let's start round 2. We're going to chain 3, which counts as a double crochet. We're going to do another 2 double crochet into that corner. One, 2, and we're going to chain 2, and into that same space we're going to do another 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. And the first corner is done, and now all we have to do is chain 1. Oops, I'm losing the blanket. It is not easy to film and do this at the same time. Okay. So into this space here we're going to do a 3 double crochet. Just like you do a regular granny square now. 1, 2, and 3. Chain 1. And into this next space we're going to do another 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. 3, and a chain 1. Always do a chain 1 in between clusters, except in the corner where you do chain 2. So you're going to do into this space 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. Chain 1, and into this next space you're going to do 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. Chain 1, and you're going to do this all the way around. So you're going to do the chain 1 in between the clusters and 3 double crochet here. And when you get to the end of this row there, into the corner space, you're going to do 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet, back around, chain 1, 3 double crochet in here, chain 1, 3 double crochet in here, and you're going to do that all the way around. When you're back around here and you finished your round 2, you're going to slip stitch to the top of the chain 3, slip stitch in the next 2 stitches and into the corner space here. Cut your yarn and weave in your ends. When you finished round 2, you are then ready to start round 3, and the color is orange, but of course it's whichever color you are using. And when you finished round 3, I will be back to show you what to do with round 4. So I will let you carry on, and at the end of round 3 I will be back to tell you what to do next. Okay, on to round 4, which is the final round of this fantastic blanket. So we have done round 1 in, let's see if we can zoom in a little bit, green, which is here, round 2 in yellow, round 3 in orange, and finally the very last round, which will be done in red, or whichever color you are using. I am going to use this color because I'm working on a separate blanket, and that color is called plum. Yes, it's called plum. So let's get started on the very last round. It is very easy and it is very quick to make. So let's see what we need to do now. So I am going to attach the yarn to the hook, and I will be right back to tell you what to do next. Okay, so we are ready to now start on the very final round, and I am bringing in a stitch marker. So to begin, we're going to attach the yarn into any corner space. So I'm going to do mine in this corner with just a slip stitch. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to chain 1, and now I repeat, for every corner is going to be 1 slip stitch into this corner here, and into that slip stitch we're going to put our very only stitch marker. We do need that because you will need to see where this slip stitch is in order to slip stitch when we close the round. Okay, so every corner consists of 1 slip stitch, chain 1, and 1 slip stitch. So we need to do another chain 1 and another slip stitch into this corner. Our very first corner is done. And now what we need to do is a slip stitch into each stitch. So we've got 3 here. So let's do this. So 1, Don't do them too tightly, because this is the final round and we don't want it too tight, because if it is, then it might bunch up. 2 and 3. And when we get into the chain space, you do not ignore that. You will put a slip stitch into the chain space. And then slip stitch into each of the 3 stitches here. 1, 2, and 3. Perhaps I should zoom in. And now you're going to slip stitch into that chain space right here. And again, slip stitch into each of the 3 stitches here. 1, 2, 3, and slip stitch into the chain space. Just like so. It is a lovely round where it just really enhances the border. And you're going to do that all the way across to the next corner. When you get to that corner, right here, you're going to do a slip stitch into this chain space. Then you're going to do a chain 1, which will act as a corner. And into the same chain space, you're going to do another slip stitch. And then into each stitch and chain space, you're going to do a slip stitch all the way around the border. And when you get back around here to the very beginning, I will probably stop here and show you how to do the end, which you will know how to do, of course. And then I will show you how to end the round and indeed the blanket. So I will be right back, and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so now I have gone all the way around with all my slip stitches, and all I have to do now is close this round with a slip stitch on top of the very first slip stitch, which is right here. So let's see if I can zoom in a little bit. Okay, we are almost done with the final round. Yeah! So let's slip stitch on top of that stitch here. You can now remove the stitch marker. And slip stitch to close the round. And you're going to do one more little chain just to finish off. Now you can cut off the yarn. And we are ready to sew in the ends. So let's do that. Yeah. Let's put that to the back, and the way I do it is I will pick up the other end and I will sew them in together. But of course you don't have to do that if you don't want to. This is completely optional. So let's sew in the end. These are our very final ends. This is super, super exciting. So I'm going to go to the back and I'm going to weave in the ends through these purple lines right here. And I will be doing that a couple of times. Just like so. Pull through. And one final time, just through the purple. And now we can cut the yarn. And guess what, everyone? We are now done. Yeah! So I am going to pause and we will take a look at both of the blankets that they are now finished.
Okay, so now that you finished your blanket, I will show you a couple of pictures of my finished items. And then hopefully you will enjoy yours. That'll be great. Oh, and before I demonstrate the pictures, I would like to, if possible, when you have done your blanket, I would love to see your finished item. Please send me some emails. I would absolutely love to see them. Okay, and I will insert the pictures right here. And there we are. You have now completed your blanket. Either you use number 4 weight yarn or DK. It is simply stunning, right? So I hope that you have enjoyed this tutorial, making a blanket, and joined us for this most wonderful collaboration. And that's it really. Thank you everyone for watching. And until the next time, happy knitting and crochet everybody.